What if the person you think you are is the very thing keeping you from freedom? Ramdas taught that enlightenment isn't about becoming somebody special, it's about becoming nobody. Today, I am revealing the path of ego death and why losing yourself is how you find yourself. This will shatter everything you thought you knew. Welcome to Major Inspiration. I am your host, and today we're exploring Ram Dass's teaching on becoming nobody. This is one of the most radical spiritual teachings because it goes against everything society tells you. You're told to build an identity, be somebody, stand out. But Ram Dass says that's your prison. True freedom comes when you let go of who you think you are. Let's dive deep. Who was Ram Dass and becoming nobody? Ram Dass, born Richard Alpert, was a Harvard psychologist who became one of the most influential spiritual teachers of our time. After his awakening in India with his guru Maharaji, he spent decades teaching about consciousness, love, and the ego. Later in life, after a stroke left him with limitations, he wrote a book called Becoming Nobody. The stroke forced him to surrender his identity as the eloquent speaker, the guru, the somebody he'd become. And in that surrender, he found deeper freedom. Ramdas realized the ego is always trying to be somebody, somebody important, somebody spiritual, somebody worthy. But that constant striving is exhausting, it's suffering. True peace comes when you stop trying to be anybody and rest in just being. Nobody is special, just awareness, just presence, just this moment. What is the ego? So, what is the ego? Ramdas explains it's not evil, it's a construct. The ego is the story you tell about yourself, your name, your history, your roles, your achievements, your wounds. It's the narrative. I am a successful person, or I am a victim, or I am spiritual. The ego is what you've added to the simple fact of being. And here's the problem: you become so identified with that story that you think you are the story. You defend it, you protect it, you're terrified of it changing. Ramdas says you're like an actor who's forgotten their acting. You think you are the character, but you're not. You're the awareness watching the character. The ego serves a function, it helps you navigate the world. But when you believe you are the ego, you suffer because the ego is always comparing, judging, defending, proving. It's never satisfied. It always needs more validation, more achievement, more control. Ram Dass says the ego is constantly saying, am I doing it right? Do they like me? Am I enough? That voice never stops until you see through it. The process of becoming nobody. So, how do you become nobody? Ram Dass says you start by watching. Every time you notice yourself defending your identity, pause. Ask, who is defending? When someone criticizes you and you feel hurt, ask, who is hurt? When you achieve something and feel proud, ask, who is proud? The answer is always the ego, the false self, the somebody you think you are. But who is asking the question? That's the real you, the witness, the awareness. Ramdas teaches meditate daily. In meditation, all your identities fall away. You're not a man or woman, not successful or unsuccessful, not spiritual or unspiritual. You're just awareness, just presence. The more time you spend there, the less you're fooled by the ego stories. He also says, stop taking yourself so seriously. The ego loves drama. It loves being right. It loves being the victim or the hero. But when you step back, you see it's all a play. Ramdas would laugh at himself constantly. When he had a stroke, he said, here I am, the spiritual teacher who can barely talk. How perfect. That's the perspective of nobody. It's freedom. Why being nobody is freedom? Here's the paradox Ramdas points to. When you try to be somebody, you're trapped. When you become nobody, you're free. Why? Because somebody is always vulnerable. Somebody can fail. Somebody can be rejected. Somebody can lose everything. But nobody has nothing to lose. Nobody doesn't need validation. Nobody isn't threatened by change. Ramdas says, when I'm nobody, I am everybody. I am free to be with you completely because I'm not worried about protecting my image. Think about it. When you're with someone who's trying to be somebody, trying to impress you, trying to prove themselves, you feel it. There's a wall. But when you're with someone who's nobody, who's just present, just open, just there, you feel met, you feel loved. That's what Ramdas embodied, especially after his stroke. He couldn't perform anymore, he couldn't be the eloquent speaker, he just was. And people felt more loved by him than ever before. Because when you stop being somebody, love flows naturally, compassion flows naturally, presence flows naturally. Practicing becoming nobody daily. So, how do you practice this? Ramdas gives clear guidance. 1. Catch yourself performing. Notice when you're trying to impress, prove, or defend. Just notice. Don't judge it. Just see. There's the ego again. 2. Let go of your story. Stop repeating your history. Stop defining yourself by your past. You're not your trauma. You're not your achievements. Your awareness experiencing this moment. 3. Serve others without identity. Ramdas said, the best way to become nobody is to serve. When you serve, you forget yourself. You're not doing it to be a good person. You're just responding to need. 4. Embrace humiliation. The ego hates being wrong, looking foolish, failing. But every time you can laugh at yourself, let yourself be wrong or fail gracefully, you weaken the ego's grip. And 5. Meditate on the question, who am I really? Not to find an answer in words, but to rest in the space before words. That's home. Ram Dass's teaching on becoming nobody is the ultimate liberation. You don't need to become enlightened. You don't need to be special. You just need to stop pretending you're somebody and rest in what you've always been: pure awareness, pure love, pure presence. Start today. Watch your ego. Don't fight it. Just see it. And slowly you'll realize you're not that. You never were. You're the spacious awareness in which all of that appears. And that awareness is already free. If this changed your perspective, hit that like button and subscribe for more Ram Das wisdom. Comment below, what identity are you ready to let go of? I'll see you in the next one. Until then, remember, you're already nobody. Stop pretending otherwise.